Hello everybody, I am Baltmatrix, and today we are taking a look at Transformers Rise of the Beasts, Buzzworthy Bumblebee, Beast Weaponizers, Scorponok, and SANDSPEAR. I picked this setup over at my local Target. We'll take a look at SANDSPEAR here real quick, and it is a very tiny version of what I've always envisioned Beast Wars Scorponok to look like, or maybe a transmetal version of Beast Wars Scorponok. It's definitely a beast, but it looks more like a machine scorpion than anything else, and yeah, 4 eyes. I don't know, that's got some real tarantulas vibes to it. I love the pincers, I love the way they look, and yes, you can have him wield any 5mm port weapon. So he can wield any sword or any gun that you can find. You just have to be wary, because if it's, the gun is too heavy, he's gonna fall forward. Like, watch that. Now, this little scorpion does have a weapon mode. Fold down his tail, flip out the blade in the tail, then come underneath the figure and flip out the handle. Now, the directions say to just put the claws up along the body like that. So you end up with a sword that looks kind of like that. Now, I was fiddling around with this the other day, and there's a big cavity inside the back or on the bottom of the bug. So what I like to do is actually take those claws and hide them back here with the rest of the legs. So then you have kind of you have got the guard of the weapon being the bug legs, and then you've got the claws inside. And I think that works pretty well. I like that. I'm going to pose him like that. And then we're going to take a look at Scorponok, who, with SANDSPEAR, he ends up with 2 different giant swords, which is cool! Scorponok itself is actually painted very well, even though the toy is incredibly simple. But the textures and the molding, especially on the chest and the head, are excellent. And I love that head sculpt. It works so incredibly well, but I can't place on who it reminds me of. I know it reminds me of someone, but I don't know who. The forearms are pretty neat. They're molded really nicely. He's got giant fists, and then he's got these giant silver painted spikes coming off the fists. And it works. It honestly works really well. I like this guy quite a bit, except when you turn it around. Then he's just a hollow, freakish mess. He's got giant scorpion legs that are hollow hanging off him. His entire back is super hollow, and those cool fists and forearms are incredibly hollow. And so's his head, which I kind of expect for a bug. Posability for this guy is just okay. Head is on a swivel. Shoulders are on ball joints. There is no bicep swivel, and the elbow is a ball joint, no fist articulation, no torso articulation. Legs can kick forward at a little over 90 degrees and can kick back the same, and they can kick out, I'd say that's about 75 degrees, and then bend at the knee in a ball joint, and then no foot articulation, unfortunately. Now, that's not to say you can't pull off some cool poses with the figure, but his posability is much more limited than a standard deluxe class figure. In robot mode, the figure does have a couple of 5mm ports, obviously the fists, then on each forearm, each side of the leg down by the foot. In terms of scale, he's roughly the same as a current deluxe class figure. We've got Kingdom Huffer and Legacy Crosscut here for an example, and these two are the smaller of the deluxes. He is roughly the same size as current figures. Scorponok's transformation is incredibly simple. Start off with, take the head and turn it around, and then flip up the backpack over the head like that. Come to the shoulders and fold the shoulders down, and take the arms and point them straight up to the sky like that. Come down to the legs and fold out the scorpion legs. And then there is an extra joint just above the knee that you'll want to bend, and then bend at the ball joint, and there is a tab at the back of the heel. Well, it is actually the heel, and that will tab into this opening right there. And we've just got to get everything lined up and tab it in. And I'm sorry, the outside smaller peg is what pegs into that. And get the knee flipped up and get that lined up. And then while that's lined up, smush those two together. And then what I like to do with the arms is actually turn them so that the pincers are pointing down. That way you hide the robot fists. And then take your sword and turn it so that the ball joint at the bottom of the tail gun is pointing towards, or the opening for the ball joint is pointing towards the smaller of the two spikes. That way it can actually bend forward. Slide that down into place and position the tail like a scorpion. And here we have the Scorpion Boys. They're okay. I mean, they're okay. I don't think this set is worth $16 though. I think this set is worth $10 at best. It's fine. It's just fine. It's not great, but it's passable. It just feels really cheap. What I do think is worth it, though, is the paint. The paint on this mode is really good, and it does the figure justice where paint on some other ROTB figures don't. I'm looking at you, Rhinox. Honestly, what would have been better is if Hasbro took the original 2007 Scorponok and drastically remolded that. I think that would have been a better figure than what we have here. It sure is better in my eyes, and that's a 16-year-old figure that has a Scorpion mode, has a dumb robot mode, and then a equally stupid but awesome monster mode. Alright, transformation back, super easy. Remove the tail, flip down the legs, and straighten them out. Flip down the backpack, turn the arms down, straighten them out, turn them around, and then flip up the shoulder pads, and turn the head. And there we go. Now, as you can see, the Scorpion legs are sticking out at the sides. I personally like to fold them back a bit, just to give the robot silhouette better presence. But if you have this figure, you do whatever the hell you want. I did forget to talk about the 5mm ports on the weapon. There are 2 on either side of the hilt and 2 on the tip of the blade, which can double as a sword or a pickaxe. And speaking of swords, I would have liked it if there was some way to combine these two. Like, just to make a giant spear, a giant scorpion spear, but there doesn't appear to be. I haven't found one. There's nothing on here that would really work. Yeah, I could use the 5mm port like this. Come on, get in there. And then turn this like that. I mean, that does work technically, but it looks incredibly stupid. Yeah, it would have been nice if they just had a way to... Well, you know what? There are these big openings right here. Nope, they're too small. Darn it! It would have been nice if they thought about that and gave you a way to combine these two into, you know, a giant spear. That would be neat. Technically, his fists are big enough that he can hold both weapons at the same time on either side of his fist, so you could pull it off like that. But that just looks stupid. At the end of the day, I can't really recommend this set unless you absolutely have to have a silly little Scorponok. It's not bad, it's just not great. I mean, it's just utterly fine. It does what it needs to do, but at a price point that's just much too high to recommend. So folks, let me know what you think of this duo down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Baltmatrix, and I will catch you all next time.